Hello, Capricorn. This is Michelle, and I'm here to do your September 2021 tarot reading. We're using the Smith-Waite Tarot Deck Centennial Edition, and this is a reproduction of the original deck created by Pamela Coleman Smith. I'm also bringing in a few cards from the Tarocchino Bolognese by Giuseppe Maria Metelli, also a reproduction deck, and by Il Meneghello. All right, now we're going to get started. I want to say, though, I am doing something a little different this month, and that is that I am bringing in a special intention for this reading, a special intention, and that is for messages of hope and encouragement. Hope and encouragement for my Capricorn friends, for any of the Capricorns that make it to this reading. And I'm doing this month because there is just so much going on in the world today, whether it is going on outside of our immediate experience or even impacting our own families or ourselves. There's just a lot of difficulty, and I want to acknowledge that. I do like to give positive readings. I am always looking for that. You know, this is a solution-oriented style of reading, and also in this particular case and time, looking for hope and encouragement. Okay, for my Capricorn friends, let's go ahead and get started. For the sign of Capricorn, and it's the World. Okay, the World at the bottom of the deck. This is exactly what I'm talking about, and so I mean we'll take this out and kind of put it aside in case we want to talk about it later. But it's this idea of uncertainty in the world, right? So this is like the Wheel of Fortune, but there's this sense with these demon, the snake and this, devilish creature, that there's a lot of instability. And many of us are trying to, be on top of it, make plans, do things, whatever we can to find some stability, which is also suggested with the fixed signs, okay, in the four corners of the world here. All right, so let's just take that and put that to the side here, and then let's get started with the Celtic Cross spread for you. 5 of Swords coming in. Okay, that's interesting. I just don't often pull that as an initial card. And so let's continue on. We have the 10 of Wands. In this deck, we would call them Wands. And now we have the 7 of Swords. Wow. Okay, this is just, I'm going to keep pulling cards actually before I stop, but these 2 cards are really some of the most enigmatic cards in the tarot deck, and I'm sure you're familiar with the tarot, and so it's to see these both coming up so close to one another it's interesting. Okay, let's continue on. And the 4 of Swords. Okay, I do feel that for now, at least at this part of the reading, I am picking up from the 5 that sense of uncertainty that I was talking about, but I think it also has to do with people. And this is a little bit of a traditional read. But I am just going to say, well, let me put it this way, okay? I feel you've done a lot of very hard work, Capricorn. Okay, you've done a lot of very hard work in a particular situation, and I feel that there are some people in the environment that you are just not feeling sure about or certain about. that's a pretty up straight up tarot reading, right? Oftentimes I kind of go off into my own kind of like intuitive message, but I'm really feeling that the cards themselves, in a very straightforward way, are speaking here. And so, if you're resonating with that, it feels unfair to me. Okay, so that's coming in on an intuitive level. It feels like unfair, like something is not right, and that you can have the sense that it's going to be time, perhaps, to walk away from this, a time to get away from this. We have this kind of contention or bickering or something going on over here that's unpleasant. And you can be perhaps planning on ways to get away from that negative energy. Some of you, this is also suggests contemplation, the four. Okay, the four here suggests contemplation. And so it suggests to me also that you would like to bring more peace into life and stability. And it could be just almost like a mental stability, mental peace. Like I just need some peace in life. With Capricorn, Capricorns, you have very important work to do in this lifetime. And if you're being distracted by social situations, then I just don't feel like you're going to want to tolerate that for too very long. And that you could be thinking also about, this is time to bring this to a close. Okay, this really actually, Knight of Swords coming in is really consistent with what I just said. That idea that, you have important things to do. You have a mission to accomplish. You have goals to achieve. Now the Tower. Okay, let's pick a few more cards. This has been a very common card in my readings, by the way, I would say this month. And we'll see where we go with this, but this can also just have to do with the world at large and what I was talking about when I started the Nine of Swords. This is, I feel, very unusual for you, Capricorn. I'm picking up, though, a lot of Saturn energy in here. A lot of the Saturn energy. Saturn has moved on into Aquarius now. I do feel, I want to say, okay, so recalling that we are really striving for messages of hope and encouragement to come in. But one thing is this coming through for those of you that are resonating is like the cards want to say, I understand what you are going through. Okay. And for some of you, there are some worries and concerns at this time. I'm picking up this sense of like, I have to solve this. And I'm not going to be at peace until I solve this situation. Some of you can actually be even literally losing sleep over this because when you lay down, your mind is focused on how do I solve this situation. It could be that I want to pick more cards, but it can be also something I'm picking up from the Tower is that it can be that some events will occur that will take care of things and get the situation moving for you. All right. So the Tower, I'm kind of picking up a strong, like Uranus kind of energy from the Tower. I'm picking that up, like something very sudden happening. It kind of turns everything upside down. But in the long run, that thing that you were trying to solve or get away from, suddenly it's out of life. And so that always turns out to be a good thing. The Uranus energy is really strong right now in Taurus, of course. I will say, well, let me just mention this because since we're on it very quickly, there is a very beautiful Earth trine between Pluto in your sign in late degrees, Uranus in middle degrees of Taurus, and then of course the Sun and Mars will be in Virgo in Earth. So this is also why, considering this as a September reading, that I am picking up that, if this is something sudden that occurs due to the Uranus energy, I think there is a way in which it can make things actually work a lot smoother for you down the road, and maybe actually even quicker than that. King of Cups coming in. All right, very consistent with the idea of just wanting to find some stability amidst the emotional commotion that's going on. And I think that anything that you can do to bring about that sense of peace, for some of you, this can be a spiritual practice. This is another theme that I have been really focused on over the last month, is the way in which spiritual practices and spirituality, for example, reading spiritual texts, engaging in certain spiritual practices, these sorts of things can be very stabilizing when things are like all in a commotion. That's paradoxical, right? Because connecting with spirit realm, we wouldn't think of that as being grounding, but it can be. It can be even reading ancient wisdom texts, reading ancient philosophers, reading modern philosophers. Okay, someone like Eckhart Tolle, for example. Okay, so doing a little bit of reading there. These kinds of things can be very stabilizing at this time. And wow, okay, goodness gracious. So I just have to love when this happens, when you're talking about something and then the card comes up to reinforce it. And here it is. It is the spiritual consolations coming in when things don't feel quite right. And so some of you can be, actually, that might be why you're at this reading. For some of you, for maybe not, of course, for everyone, but for some of you, you might be thinking maybe there's a message there. I was led to this reading. And I'm looking for some spiritual consolation, and there you are, and it's coming in. I think that it might take some action on your part, though. So, seeking out those texts, seeking out, let's say, for example, okay, so let's say you can also do this, something like this, like taking a spiritual type text, and almost like, not being overwhelmed with it, by almost like just opening it at random and saying, let me see where I land on this and what I can find here. Let me see if there's something there. It could be a tarot reading, even a tarot reading, very much so a tarot reading can be helpful for that. A personal one if you read the cards. And now we have the Hierophant coming in. Okay, so I love this. This sense of equilibrium and balance coming in through spiritual practices. Exactly what I was referring to. I think this is so important at this time right now. It has just been on my mind because I know just for myself that when I have just felt like really just like, is this reality? What we are going through. And I know that when I have felt like I need to get myself grounded into something, typically I would say, and for Capricorn, Earth, I would say, get out into nature. Well, that's always helpful. But I am sensing more and more at this time that bringing in that sense of spirituality is what is going to be so helpful at this time. Okay, now I am picking 3 cards from the Tarotino. We have the 9 of Swords. Okay, there's a repeat. There's a repeat there, which is interesting. Let's continue on. These are the cards for my Capricorn friends. Cards for Capricorn, thank you. Cards for Capricorn, I'm getting kind of a maybe on that. So thank you for being patient with me as I select the cards in this manner. It is the Queen of Cups. Okay, that's beautiful to see. Okay, that's a very encouraging card. And one more card for my Capricorn friends, for my Earth Capricorn friends. One more card for my lovely Capricorn friends. Here we go. Oh, goodness. Okay, this is the Empress. Now, it's a prince in this deck. Okay, it's a prince. This deck actually replaces two female cards with male cards. It's a very masculine deck in that sense. Both the High Priestess and the Empress are male. Okay, so that's interesting to think about. All right, and so here's the one I'm picking up. I do feel that the Tarocchino is I want to say acknowledging that there are some concerns at this time. And it's also though suggesting to me that you can be very close to a shift or a transition. What I am picking up is that circumstances, the situation is going to change eventually. Wow, that really ties in with the Tower. Okay, so that's a very strong theme for some of you coming through. And I'm also hearing, and we'll just pick up the Queen of Cups here, Queen of Coins, excuse me, here as well. The idea of, okay, not to worry because some of this is going to be like out of our hands. Circumstances and situations are going to change. I think for Capricorn, who likes to have goals and be in charge and control the direction of things, that's kind of like might sound like well, that's not exactly helpful to me at this time. How do I get things done, right, is I think what Capricorn wants to know. But the cards are suggesting to me it's kind of like a wait and see what happens in a good way. Wait and see what happens. This is a very generous queen. The blessings, and they can be actually even financial, are pouring out. And so for those of you that are concerned about what you're going to do in the midst of this transition regarding finances, this is a very positive card saying that things will turn out just beautifully. With the, the Prince as an Empress card, okay. I'm actually, it's a Hierophant. Technically in this deck, this is a Hierophant. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have another match. I'm glad I just realized that. What I was going to say is going to match this card, but I just realized this is actually titled a Hierophant in this deck. This is suggesting that there is going to be, I want to say, a spiritual protection coming in, and it's reinforcing that idea to engage in even a small spiritual practice. I think is going to bring in a great sense of balance, comfort, and solace into the situation. All right, Capricorn, that is your reading for September 2021. Thank you so much for being here. As always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to read for you. I'll see you next time.